Good afternoon. So, this will be a little bit of a technical video on not an extremely important subject. It's just a topic, something that I recall now. I do not feel very well, so I'm mostly resting. I'll be resting in the next couple of days, I guess, in my humble bed. I think maybe it's the summer or the spring, or what time in the year is it? When you are under arrest, everything looks the same, or the winter, or the autumn. Is there an autumn in Israel? I'm not sure. I think it's like an invention, or something that they imported from Europe, like the autumn, like the concept of autumn. I don't think it really exists. Is there such a thing as autumn in Israel? Like, it's mostly summer, and then there's like a couple of months where everybody gets sick, and there is a little bit of rain, and then it's summer again. Anyway, so we have this, a little bit of artistic thing. It's made, the main object here is what's called Ner Neshama, soul candle, a big candle made of wax inside the glass container. The main thing that I should be taken care of is that it will not break because of the heat. Because if you use, of course, if you light it just, as intended by the manufacturer, it won't explode, but I use much a larger fire than just the little thread. So you need them to take care, not to use too much burning material. And so this mixture is actually slightly enriched with Neros, but only like a little bit, because I just placed like a month ago or 2 months ago. I placed like less than half a spoon of Nero juice on top of it, so it will be slightly enriched, but not much of it. It's mostly like vanilla wax. But now, when I started to burn it, as it burns, I've added mixture from the metal containers. Now, unfortunately, I do not have any container that is only. Currently, I don't have any container that is only enriched wax. In the past, I had several of these. I lament the fact that I don't have any more of these, because I used it for all sorts of experiments and I didn't recreate it. I should have, but whatever. What I do have is metal containers that contains a mixture of wax, soil, dirt and clay, and Nero juice and life forms. Mostly anaerobic ones, because it's metal, it's sealed containers. So I replenish when it burned, I replenished it with this mixture. Now, you could have thought that maybe it wouldn't burn because of the dirt or the clay. This is like part of the mixture, but actually, what happens is that it's very quickly it separates, and the clay is this clay sediments just pushes to the side, and it actually burns pretty well, even too well. So and at the point it starts to burn too much, and so even like the one bit of the glass from the top was broken. So and then I had to extinguish the fire. So I added the oil, a little bit of oil. I don't have much oil left, and I need it for cooking, like canola oil. And also I have no money, so I need to think I don't want to use the oil too much, but to light it I used oil. And then it became too hot again. So I thought about how could I I wanted to extinguish part of the fire. Now you can do it manually, but it doesn't really work that much, because by submerging the burned stuff inside. Or you can suffocate the fire, but it's not a good idea, because it creates tons of smoke, and it's mostly everything is dead. But another surprising method that you can do, and I remember that I recalled it from the time that I worked with the crucibles. This is kind of like the topic, I mean, the punch of this this video, and something that I wanted to discuss with you. So, I mean, mostly with the people, of course, with a scientific background, is actually to use water. Of course, not too much. If you use too much, it's just, I mean, everything is just, I mean, no more fire. But if you actually use controlled amounts of like drops of water that you add, like gradually add drops of water, I mean, you actually, what you see is an interesting, like, I mean, thing that I wanted to ask people, like, I mean, what actually happens chemically. So what actually happened is that, first, I mean, the fire is, I mean, there's also explosions with the fire, like, I mean, like, immediately, I mean, there is like a large, the fire gets much bigger, and there was all sorts of explosions. I'm not sure why. Perhaps it's because of an immediate separation of the hydrogen molecules from the water, and hydrogen is flammable. Actually, oxygen is also flammable. So why is water not flammable? Chemistry is the magic of chemistry. If hydrogen is flammable and oxygen is flammable, why is H2O so not flammable? The mysteries of the universe. So maybe there is a kind of separation of the molecules. I don't know. But after several more drops, I mean, it's slowly, I mean, the fire reduces, but still, you get like kind of like a mixture that is like a solution that is a little bit of oil in it, mostly melted Bebox with Neros and life forms, like demonic life forms mostly, and water. So, and it's still, and so several minutes, like, I mean, maybe like 15 minutes after that, you still get the explosions, and sometimes you see like the fire kind of like jumps up to this height, like, you see my hand, like up to here, like you see all sorts of like huge explosions that are probably not very hot. That's why it doesn't break the glass. Like, I mean, the glass probably breaks because of like a heat accumulation that is not due to like these explosions, but just, I mean, due to, I mean, large burning throughout, like, I mean, you know, like a relatively long time. But anyway, it's interesting thing, and I wanted to ask people, like, I mean, what actually happens. I'm sure that people, like, I mean, they've seen this effect before. It's also interesting to see, to understand what's going on inside the container. So right now I can't take samples because it's too, I've just replenished it with all sorts of, like, I mean, like junk stuff, like, I mean, a little bit of oil, and as I said, a little bit of and like more clay and wax together. But later I will it will be more clear. I'll take like a examination straight from the burning material, and we'll see what's inside. It's gonna be interesting. Certainly we will see Neos, but it's interesting to see what's more, like, we will see life form or whatever. Now, it should be said that originally, when I worked with the crucible, I saw that, I mean, the fact that I use non-standard threads, like mostly toilet paper and cotton, and just, I mean, plain cotton, like, just, you know, cotton that I use, like, like, I mean, that I used, like, you know, sparsely on top or dip it inside. I mean, this creates a lot of garbage, like, you know, garbage material in the mixture. Sometimes too much, and I need to remove it. But almost always there is like, I mean, burned toilet paper and burned cotton. That, I mean, because it wasn't placed, like, you know, neatly so, like in the mixture. But actually, I discovered that for research purposes, it's not that bad actually, because these like remnants of cotton and toilet paper that are still moist with, it's not if they are totally dry like we've seen here in the last couple of days in the crucibles that were left for months, like to stand on the drawer. Then it's just, I mean, it's just dry, I mean, you know, burnt cotton. But I mean, like, if it's relatively fresh, like, I mean, straight from the crucible, or even several days after there is no more fire, actually the toilet paper and the cotton that are still, I mean, wet with oil, this is actually where you find the most Neros and the most life forms. Like, if you take it and rub it, like, if you take a bit of this trash thing, like, I mean, it looks like just like trash, you know, the burned cotton and the burned toilet paper. If you take it and you rub it on like on microscopic glass, then I mean, we've seen like tremendous amount of huge neurons and huge life forms, very interesting ones. And probably my estimation is that this is due to the fact that that's where the action is. Like, I mean, that's where actually the chemical reaction that causes what we see as fire actually takes place. And probably that's where the neurons are working their hardest, because that's where they have available energy. So, I mean, it's not that, surprising that that's where you will find the most neurons, the biggest one, because they multiply and grow using the energetic pathway, and they do the same with life forms. Interestingly, after a couple of days, I mean, you no longer get the best results from this, from the burned material, but more from the deeper layer of oil. Of course, you need to have it deeper. You don't. I mean, again, I'll repeat what I've said yesterday. With crucible experiment, you do not burn everything. Like you burn like only a little bit. I mean, of atom, but I mean, mostly you still need like a good amount of oil or beeswax or a combination. I mean, because that's where, I mean, you know, the neurons are living, and also the demonic life form. So that's and so after a couple of days, you get better results from the deeper layers. And I guess it's just due to the fact that, again, the toilet papers and the cotton, they get dry, and because of they're exposed to the oxygen, and too much oxygen is not good for the neurons, and maybe it's even not that good for the life forms. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure, but like, I mean, it's a huge question of like, I mean, how do the demonic life forms? Again, when I say demonic, it's not something spiritual. Like, just the demonic life forms is the group of life forms that that are created in the crucible. This actually includes the Full Metal Jacket, like the wasp, the big wasp, because it was also, created in the crucible. It's also a fire resistance, and their most, important properties that they have very strong heat resistance. Eventually, they die of fire. I mean, if you light it several times with turpentine, as it's proven in this channel, that slowly you see them disappear from the microscopic examinations. I mean, they don't have unlimited amount, resistant to fire, to heat, but of course they have tremendously more resistant to heat than carbon-based microbes like the ones from Earth. So that it's not that they are evil or spiritual. They are life forms, they're just like it. They want to live and multiply and do their thing. The general things that life forms do, like, telepathically, control other life forms and take control over planets. Just normal stuff. But the only difference is that they have tremendous resistance to heat, but not unlimited resistance to heat. So the question of how do they handle oxygen, the demonic life forms? It's an interesting and important question, and of course it's not trivial at all, because should be reminded that carbon-based life forms have also complicated relationship with oxygen, because too much oxygen. Of course, oxygen is a way to kill life forms. Even 3% hydrogen peroxide is enough to kill many life forms. And even though it doesn't kill the neurons, it was tested, like one of the first tests actually, it was that hydrogen peroxide 3% doesn't kill neurons at all, and also alcohol doesn't kill neurons, and any kind of solution, and iodine 10% solution doesn't kill the neurons. This was one of the first, it was one of the first line of, it's documented in the channel. You can search for the first videos from January, when I tested all of this. But of course, the fact that it's true for neurons doesn't mean that it's true for the life form that they create. But there's a question of that. But oxygen, is on the one hand, it's harmful. It's toxic. Oxygen. It's even toxic to humans, even though humans have tremendous resistance to oxygen. Humans can consume almost 100% oxygen and still, be alive, even though don't try it at home or at all. But they can do it for a limited amount of time. But after some time, they will also have oxygen intoxication. Oxygen is toxic to life, but most life forms require it in order to live, in various, amounts. Even though not all of them. There are anaerobic life forms that do not require oxygen, and this is true both for carbon-based life forms and for alien life forms that the Neros create. So it's a huge question. Everything that relates to oxygen and the alien life forms, especially what I call the demons, but the rest as well. So this was quite technical, and if you have anything, kind of like open questions. If you have anything to remark, I'll gladly get any comment from people with scientific knowledge, and I'll get some rest, and you can suggest whatever you want for future experiments. We still have the containers that are left outside. For fermentation. Hopefully, the Neros will take the time to create more life forms, like a varied amount of life forms, not only the big worms, because I wanted to show you a showcase of microbes that are created in the oil, like in the oil environment, like alien microbes. And maybe if we will have like a good amount of them, we can also tell the Neros to increase their size and their quantity and do it in electrolysis, using the electrolysis pathway. Of course, we need to think about conductivity, because the way that it is right now on the window is not very conductive because they added oil, but there are ways to increase conductivity. But let's give it a day or two, like to ferment. So, bye for now.